So the other day, I was on a call with one of my one-to-one coaching clients, and we started talking about potential businesses that he could do. And one of the major blocks that brand new or aspiring business owners have is they really get stuck on their niche. Like, what business do I start? But then, like, what do I do inside of that niche? And we started talking about the micro niche, which is instead of, and I'll give you an example here of how I did this with my real estate business. Instead of like teaching an entire industry, right? Or an entire niche, a broad niche, you take one or two things out of that niche and you teach that. It's called a micro niche, and you get really, really good at delivering that particular product or service. And then as you get more clients and as you get this feedback loop and you get better and better, then you can expand. And I'm going to give you an example here to really kind of drive this point home. When I was in the real estate business, there's a lot of moving parts to a real estate transaction. You have to do lead gen, like you have to get lists, you have to call people, you have to do your marketing, right? Then you have to put the transactions together. Then, you might have to do some rehab. You have to find people to put in the houses. You have to get your contracts set. You have to deal with all this stuff, right? If you're not buying deals the way that I bought them, which was on creative financing, you got to get money, you got to get lending, you have to deal with all this stuff. There's a lot of moving parts. Well, you might not be good at all 15 or 20 different components of a particular industry. You might be good at one or two. And I'm going to give you the example of what I was good at and what I became known for in the real estate industry was I was really, really good on the phone. I knew how to talk to sellers, and I could have developed an entire business around simply just talking to sellers, like writing the scripts, what to say, critiquing calls. I did a lot of that stuff when I was in the real estate business and when I was part of a mastermind. And I became known, I was named the script master. And that's what I did. And that's what people came to me for. And I wrote ebooks on it. I did presentations on stage. I did workshops on Zoom. I mean, I really, really kind of became known as that guy. And I could have developed an entire business around just that one component. Now, I didn't, but I'm using this as an example of what you can do in your niche. Like maybe you're really, really good at one or two particular things and you can go solve those problems and then you can expand later as opposed to feeling pressure. Well, if there's 10 or 15 steps in this process, to help somebody achieve a certain result, I need to know how to do all 15 of them. Well, that's not the truth. And even if you did, like people aren't going to stay with you forever. They're always going to move on to the next level. So when you look at a business and you look at trying to help somebody and you have skill and you have knowledge, right? And you're trying to pass that skill on to other people in exchange for money. That's why we're in business, because we want to make money. If you are at a 3, right, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best, if you're at a 3, all the zeros and ones and the twos are your clients. You can help them get to 3. And while you're continuing to learn, because this is the other part of the conversation that we had as well, is you don't stop learning. Like they're at a 0, you're at a 3, maybe you're higher, whatever. But let's just say you're for the purposes of this example, you're at a 3, you're still learning and trying to get to the next level, 4, 5, 6, 7, while you're still helping all the 0, 1, 2s and 3s and even 4s as you continue to move up. So think smaller in the beginning in terms of like this micro niche. And there's two ways to look at this. The micro niche of like, okay, these are the one or two problems that I'm going to solve. But then you say, instead of I'm going to help all the real estate people, or I'm going to help all of the sales leaders, you can simply just say, right, I'm going to help real estate people who are looking for this particular type of a property or in this particular type of a niche. Like maybe they're just looking all for foreclosures or they're in this particular state. I mean, you can get really, really narrow with this. And with like sales, like leadership, you can do something very similar here. I have a client who's looking at doing something very, very micro in leadership consulting. a specific person and one or two problems to help that specific person solve versus just being like, well, I'm just going to help people with sales, right? Which is much broader. And there's a lot of components to that. So that's a great way to get in and get started. I also want you guys to understand too, because one of the things we talked about was when you get started, you evolve, right? So you start with the business. And I reference this particular individual. There's a woman on TikTok, on social media. She's well known in the TikTok world. Her name is Kat Norton, and she makes $100,000 a month teaching people how to do Excel. Let me repeat that: $100,000 a month teaching people how to do Excel. You can learn Excel for free on the internet. You can go on YouTube. Like you can read books. Like that's not free, but you can go on YouTube. You can definitely learn this. Excel has tutorials. Like this isn't something that you have to go pay for. Everything is on YouTube for free, practically, right? Everything. You can figure it out. But the reason that people buy stuff and pay for courses and pay for this stuff is speed, and it's all packaged up together nicely. So I'm going to tell you this story, and then to really kind of drive this home and make sure that you understand that a couple of components here. Number one is that whatever you have skill in, you can start small and start with like a micro niche or a micro problem. And then as you get better and better and you grow your audience and you stick with it, you'll add more products and services. So Kat started her TikTok channel in March of 2020, right? So for over 4 years ago, almost 5 years. And she wasn't an overnight success, but she's teaching people how to Excel. And she has courses where she's built up over 1 million followers. She has courses where she's teaching people how to do Excel, individuals, corporations. She's super well known now, but that's like, the joke in the TikTok world is like there's a woman on TikTok teaching people how to do Excel, and she's making $100,000 a month. And you would just think that would be impossible, but it isn't impossible. And I challenge you to go to her website. She's referred to as Miss Excel, MISS. And I have no affiliation with her. I've just heard this story, and I decided to finally research this person. And I'm looking on her website, and she has a course for $297. She has a course for $1,200, $497, $297. And you would think, wow, I would never pay $1,200 for an Excel course. I'm thinking that right now as I do this, but she's selling it, right? And it's because of, she's taken, number one, 5+ years building this whole thing up, but people pay for speed, right? And she's also probably just started with individuals and then went into, expanded into businesses. And now she's, like very, very well known, has over 1 million followers, and she's making a lot of money. So think about small problems that you can help people with, like maybe the one or two steps that they would need to solve so that they can get on the path to solving, problems 3 through 10, right? As you're helping them solve the first two problems, they got to go somewhere else to get the rest of them done. And sometimes people just need to get started, get in the right direction, get pointing in the right direction. So think about that micro niche. Don't be afraid to go narrow in the beginning. And that's going to make it feel a lot less heavy for you, like that you have to know how to do all of these things. You can just focus on a couple things, and that'll help you get started. All right, get out there, start mixing it up, go make your life awesome. You deserve it.